Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, or depending on what time you are viewing this channel here. Welcome to the Military Veteran Family channel on YouTube. My name is Jesse Almanza, retired United States Marine Corps. And to my left here we have,
Michael Black, United States Army, retired.
And I am Charles Prentice, United States Air Force disabled veteran.
uh, we were sitting here talking about what we're going to be talking about, and we're like, maybe we ought to wait till we get going here because we have a lot to discuss. Well, we have a very special week this week, and I want to kind of talk a little bit about that because it's important for all of us to understand that on June 12th, on June 12th, it's Recognition Day for female veterans that served on the armed forces, all branches, all services. And we want to acknowledge that. And we want to say thank you to each and every one of you. And we want to talk a little bit about that just so you can kind of get an idea of where we're at with it and stuff.
Yep.
So back in 1948, there was an act that was signed. It's called the Armed Service Integration Act. It was signed by President Truman in 1948. Charles,
That's
yeah,
you might have been around, but that's before my time.
yeah, I am pleased to say that neither one of us were around during that time frame. But anyway, moving forward from there to today, because that act was signed, it pretty much allowed female veterans to join, to be part of the military, be part of all armed forces, to be recognized as being a service member to the United States and stuff. So on June 12th, it's always identified that that's the day to recognize all female veterans that are amongst us today. I personally feel that every day we should recognize anybody who has served in the military.
Yeah.
But the purposes of putting days that we talked before in previous shows, uh, the day is the 12th of which is what coming up, huh?
Yep.
Friday.
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 Friday will be the 12th.
Oh, we're already in June the 12th. Oh my goodness, where's time flying to? During World War One and the early time frames during the Civil War, we had a lot of women that fought during the Union and Confederate in the Confederate Army and stuff, and about 35,000 of them served, and that was very earlier than 1948. But as you can tell, I mean, women
Well,
have
that was
always
that was
served.
World War One though. That
Well, but
yeah.
yeah, but still, we're
But
still we're still
before
talking.
then, you're because you had smaller armies during the Civil War with so 400. Because you didn't have armies that were
Yeah,
that large. So once you hit World War One, you're talking larger armies, and we had more women who were.
right, right. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that even prior to recognition,
Yep.
there was women serving in
Yep.
the armed forces, whether directly or indirectly had been recognized. They go far, far back because I'm sure they probably were in there during the Revolutionary War as well too.
Mm-hmm.
Women have been around for. I mean, it's good to know and to honor and to respect that they've gotten so far. And today's women, they specialize in just about everything, Charles. I mean, we're talking logistics, munitions. They do ammunition and stuff. They haul, they carry, but many of them have been to combat. There's a lot of female combat veterans out there right now. So they have a strong show, a
Oh
strong
yeah.
force.
Because as a matter of fact, I was watching something the other day ago, and that you might not know. The Angel of Death
Mm,
is she's military pilot, flew the C
yeah, I
130s,
remember. Yeah.
and where they had the gunships, and trying to remember the Gulf or Afghanistan, or I think it was Afghanistan. Um, she was known as the Angel of Death because they'd hear her broadcast over the speakers over the
Uh-huh.
mic when she's contacting, and so they knew it was a female pilot that is flying this
Wow.
C-130, this
Wow. It's
this
amazing.
gunship. So and her nickname was the Angel of Death.
Yeah, we were talking about this earlier that a lot of female veterans out there, they struggle in being recognized by a lot of people. I
Hmm.
mean, they don't, female veterans do not have a tendency of displaying themselves like male veterans do. Like, for example, some of these female veterans, they don't wear their colors, they don't wear a cap, they don't wear a shirt with a logo on it and all that other stuff. So it's hard telling who female veterans out there are.
Yeah,
But
and that's like Mike was talking about going into the VA. You walk into a VA hospital, and a lot of times we assume that if a husband is there, that the wife is just there supporting the
right,
husband,
yeah,
and it could be the other way around. That the
yeah,
husband is there, and his wife was the one that served, and he's in there in support of her. I mean, mine is. I have a reminder all the time because my sister went in a couple years after I did. Yeah, so she served 20, 21 years. I think it was 21.
yeah. That's quite a bit of time there. So we always want to remember. So if you know a female veteran out there, and you know what, it could be your mom, it could be your sister, it could be your, I mean, grandma, your aunt. It could be someone that has served in the military, but yet they have not received that recognition from you, even
Mm-hmm.
yourself. Or if you haven't recognized her in a long time, maybe we can kind of make that call and say, if you're able to shake their hands and say thank you for your service, that would be very nice. That would be
I
very
got another thing.
sure,
I got an even greater suggestion.
sure.
You get a hold of us because the Gulf War Era Veterans Incorporated, and what that's we can say that we're the sponsor of the Military Veteran Channel because that's what we do. Mike's got his Gulf War Era Veteran shirt on, but we have pins.
Yeah, we have pens where female veterans can actually wear them. And I know a lot of female veterans don't want to wear the T-shirt, but if you want to wear a pen, we
Yep,
have them.
little small lapel pin
Yeah,
that was created by
by a female
female
veteran.
veteran. So
Female veteran.
get a hold of us.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
it's a
our,
beautiful one. So maybe we'll talk a little bit more about that and how you can get one later on in the
yep.
future. But considering that there's what, how many veterans are out there, Charles?
What actual veterans?
Female veterans.
Female, about 1.7 million.
1.7
So
million.
you've probably run across a female veteran
You,
and might not have known it.
yeah. So to each and every one of you, 1.7 million female veterans out there, thank you for your service.
Very much.
Thank you for what you do. Uh, we hold you heavy in our hearts. You have a special day coming up on the 12th. We've recognized that for you. And if there's an event close to you or around you and you know about, you're going to be recognized. And I highly recommend that you attend so you can be recognized because some of us kind of don't want to be recognized at times because we just kind of want to put things behind and say, "Oh, it's not me." But you are to be recognized.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why we want to take this special time to talk about this and make sure that you know that you're in our hearts and thank you for your service. So
Yep. And now
and
we're going to procrastinate.
now we're going to procrastinate about talking about other things. It's funny because sometimes when we don't do things and people automatically accuse us of being a procrastinator and we don't really want to hear that word because oh, I'm not a procrastinator, that's not me at all. I do everything. But you know that you are not alone if you are, because nearly 99% of Americans have that issue or that problem or that matter.
Or have
Yeah.
finally admitted to it. They
Yeah.
put that off admitting to it, but they finally
So if
admitted
you
to it.
put things off for a later date, you're amongst the 99%.
Yeah.
So don't feel bad about it. It's not a bad thing. I
I,
mean, it's a good thing once you recognize that you may have been missing out on a lot of things in life in general, and even money to some extent, if you do that, and when you do that.
Yep, and I know for a fact that, especially in my younger days, I was one because my father quoted to me quite often, "Don't put off tomorrow what you can do today."
That's a cliche that
Well,
people
it's
always
not a
talk about.
cliche. That's a
Yeah,
quote directly from my dad. I don't
it's
know who
my
came
dad,
up with
my
it. My
mom,
dad said it to me quite a bit because I'd go,
my wife.
"Yeah, uh, I can do that tomorrow."
We all know that phrase. I'm sure all of us know that phrase. And I'm sure we've heard it before, and we just roll our eyes back and say, well, I was too busy, or I didn't get around to it. And, well, what is the definition for that? Procrastination. That's what it is, right? We just kind of wait. And we have a tendency of waiting for a better day, waiting for a clearer day, waiting for something, or waiting to get more information, or waiting until the bigger picture comes around, and then we'll take action.
Hmm.
And I'll tell you right now, I was going to wait for later on, but I guess this kind of flows with it. Is that we have approximately what 12 sessions now, 12 episodes,
I believe so, something like that.
10 maybe 12 episodes of our channel to date. You would not believe that I started evaluating and investigating this channel over a year ago, a long time ago.
Yep.
And I kept putting it off. And I talked about it and I talked about it and I talked about it and I procrastinated in moving forward. Why? Why did I? Well, why do you think I procrastinated, Charles?
Well, part of it is the whole technical aspect behind all
That's
this
a
because
big
it's
part.
very daunting. And so then he contacted me and said, "Hey, this is what I would like to do." And so the funny thing about it
Seven
is,
months later.
I didn't dive right in either. But when we put it out there that this is what we were going to do, I turned around and got microphones and a camera and everything in my office, and set it all up so I could research all this stuff. And then I've told my wife, well, yeah, I might do just one on my own, a YouTube thing, and then I could bring Jesse in, or I could bring Mike in. I don't know what I'm going to do my YouTube channel on, but you know what? I still haven't done a video on it. I do this one. And I've worked real hard on getting everything that we need to try to get it correct. And of course, as if you've watched, you've seen that I'm still working. The technical aspects of it, because I've never done anything like this, are daunting. And so I understood his procrastination because.
Well, and that I say that because that's been one of my most recent ones, but I'm not. I'm a procrastinator. My name is Jesse, and I'm a procrastinator. How do they say that? And that's the way it goes. And I'm not gonna hide it. I'm,
Yep. I would the original. It's funny because you look at it. The original was procrastination. It didn't have the pro in front of it, and it comes from the Latin of crastinus, which is of tomorrow. So it was always about
next
being
day.
of tomorrow,
Oh
the
wow.
next day, whatever. And then we add the pro prefix to it, which is forward or
Okay.
for. So then you're looking at forward tomorrow or for tomorrow with procrastination. Well, of course, they don't break it down in the prefix and the suffix,
Right.
but
Right.
or the root word to it. But the root word originally was crastinus, which is Latin, is of tomorrow. So it's existed obviously for a long time because we don't speak a lot of Latin anymore, and they were talking about of tomorrow back then. So somebody was crastinus or procrastinating way back then. That somebody decided, well, yep, we need a word for that.
Yeah. And that's in our everyday doings. I mean, all of us. I mean, if you don't do this, then I respect you like crazy. But if you don't procrastinate, or if you've never ever been a procrastinator, then kudos to you. Congratulations, because I think everybody should. Mike, what do you think?
The biggest problem that I ran into procrastination, I let my GI Bill expire before I ever used it. 15 years went by quicker than I thought it did. I threw thousands of dollars away, left on the table,
Yep.
that I could have used for college.
See. So you're your husband, your wife, your brother, sister, aunt, uncle, mother, father that have been in the military and have done what Mike's done and what I've done. I mean, I'm not, you're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 20 some odd years before I even thought about even going through and identifying what what I could get. You're talking a lot of time. You're talking a lot of benefits, a lot of things that you miss out on eventually. So, I think we can probably talk to each other and we can probably say things like, "Hey, have you done this or have you done that?" And the response is probably going to be, "Well, I've been thinking about it," because I have a lot of those I've been thinking about it people that I know, that I personally know, and that I talk to and try to work with and stuff. So the thing is that when you talk about procrastination, are you really procrastinating or do you really want to delay something? What do you think, Charles? I mean,
Well, a lot of it is, can be considered. You turn around and you're going, okay, well, I need this for this project that I'm working on. And so then it's, well, finding this. And that's the logic we throw in there because it's easier to do it that way. When my wife says, "Hey, can you help me with this? Well, I need to get this fixed." You know,
yeah,
do I have what tools do I need? And you put that out. Well, I need this tool, or I need this, or I need that. Instead, go ahead because my wife is going to start working on something that she wants it worked on,
well, we'll do
and
that.
so then I get to play catch up. The good thing about it is I've learned that my wife will get to a point where I know the noise has stopped because she's no longer working because she's frustrated trying to figure it out. And so I'll walk in and I say, "Can you help? Can I help you?" And she's like, "Yeah, I can't get this thing back together." you know. And mine is because my father, like I said, my father always told me don't put off, and he didn't. He pretty much, if it needed to be fixed, he fixed it. I didn't have to wait around for my. The only thing I did have to wait around for my father to fix because he always had something to do was, and it dates me because it's back in the day, 8-track player and an 8-track
Oh, an eight
player
track player.
that didn't work. Didn't know why. It would start to play the tape, and then all of a sudden it would stop. And so I asked my dad to fix it. And my dad's like, "Yep, I'll get to it. Don't worry about it. I'll get it fixed." But he was always fixing something.
No.
And so one day I decided, well, he hasn't fixed it yet. I'm going to go out in the shed. And I took that thing apart and I fixed it because I watched him fix stuff. So fixed it, cleaned it all up, put it back in, hooked it back to my stereo component, played eight tracks, worked fine. My dad came in and said, "Here, let me get that." And he started unplugging. I said, "Don't unplug that." He goes, "Well, I thought it was broke." I said, "No, I already fixed it." He said, "What? You fixed it?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "I've watched you fix things
Yeah.
forever,
Well,
And so but because of that, I actually got to learn something. And so now I have become Mr. Fix It, like my
I,
father was.
yeah, I think when you talk about procrastination too, and I think it's driven by avoidance sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I think you avoid it because there's some things that I think people feel, or the feeling is like it becomes a negative feeling. It's like, what if I don't succeed?
Mm-hmm.
What if it's not a true thing? What if people make fun of me? What if this and what if that? Well, so what if,
Well, mine is with Mike, where you were talking about, okay, your GI Bill. Was it a real push for you? You wanted to get an education afterwards, after you got out, or I don't want to jump back into whole schooling and stuff. So that's another thing where you're looking at, yeah, I'm gonna put it off. Yeah, I know it's 15 years,
Yeah.
but still, it's
a long time.
It
do I want to jump back into schooling? Is that one of those reasons why that
it
maybe
wasn't
you
a
put it
push.
off?
It wasn't a push. I was more focused on my wife and my daughter taking care of the advantages
Mm-hmm.
because they needed it more than I did.
That very good point, because this is one of the points that we try to drive through all the time is that we have a lot of things that we do that are priority in our lives.
Hmm.
Like I mentioned before in our previous channel showings, when I got out of the military, my my mission was not doing something yet. My mission was getting the job, getting together, getting the family together. You know, you lose a lot when you get out, and it's not like it's gonna be at your disposal once you get out because you've got to get a job, two jobs, three jobs even to make ends meet.
Hmm.
So I can see where that could kind of delay you in doing moving forward and trying to do the things that you want to do. That's probably one of the biggest things that a lot of people do. That's not, to some extent, in my opinion, considered procrastinating what you've done.
Right. So
I mean,
that's where you're, as you were talking about, whether it's procrastination or is it a
a delay.
strategic delay?
Yeah.
Because if you're trying to set up family life and put family first, those things that you have, you put those on the back burner. And it's not, to me,
Yeah. You
that's
do.
not really procrastinating.
Right.
You're just putting them on, okay, well, this part of this meal that I'm making, I've already created this. So
Right.
now we
Right.
put it on the back burner and it'll be added into the main course later on. But you don't have time right now because you're working on the main course.
Yeah, even though the 15 years had expired, but during the course of those 15 years, I accomplished a lot of things
Yeah.
that
So
made
it's
that, that
it's
made that, that made up for the educational benefits.
right. So it's more of than procrastinating. It's a strategic delay.
Yeah, and I hear stories because we all work with a lot of veterans. We go to meetings and we talk to
Hmm.
veterans, and we talk veteran families, spouses, surviving spouses, and we talk about those kind of things. And one of the one of the things that I hear most often, if I would have known a long time ago, I would have gotten started already. I procrastinated in doing this, I procrastinated in doing that,
Excuse me.
and we try to sort out, was it really procrastination or was it really a survival thing,
Hmm.
Hmm.
because sometimes when you hear that word, it just kind of gets almost offensive. Somebody's picking on you, or we don't want it to be a negative thing. We want it to be something to where we can actually say that if if you procrastinated in gluing a piece of glass together simply because you didn't know where the glue was at, all you really have to do is go find the glue and then put that thing together and you're
Yep.
done. It's over with. It's the best feeling in the world. I'm telling you because I do it all the time. When you get something finally done that you were supposed to do not too long ago, it just feels good because it's just an accomplishment. So it should really be, even though adversity gets you at the beginning, it should really be something that you learned and you gain from it, and now you feel better. You're not you're not in a bad mood anymore. I mean, you feel better. It feels good. They're not they're not going to get on you for not doing it for a long time. I think we need to pick and choose those kind of things because some of them for necessity, some of them you're not delaying or avoiding. It's because you have to do other things to
Right. So
to
we're we're
priority.
we're we're looking at it as with the procrastination. It's where it's something that's we're just trying to avoid doing it. We're putting it off because we just, you really don't want to get into it.
Yeah.
Let me touch on this. Sometimes we say it's procrastination. Sometimes it's not that. It's like you waiting on the door opportunity to open, and you just have to be available when that opportunity comes.
Yeah.
And you don't know how long it's going to take. Sometimes some people might say you're procrastinating, but you're just waiting on the opportunity to open up.
Oh, that's it. That's a little different. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're
I
right. You're
either
right. You're
that or
right.
as if you're a Marine, you go kick down the door. So
Yeah.
the
Take
Marines
it down.
they take that
Yeah. Am I
take
coming
that
in or
hill.
what?
Yeah, they take that hill.
Yeah. Yeah. Do it. Do it or don't do it.
I
No.
was just thinking, um, we have half of the United States military services represented here. Marines, Army, Air Force. We're just missing somebody from the Navy.
And the Coast Guard.
missing Coast Guard, and of
Definitely.
course that we talk about
Space
Space
Force. We're
Force. You're
looking for
out
you
there.
guys.
Contact
Gals.
us.
Yeah, contacted. We
we,
really
we,
want.
we've even got chat up now. Chat up. I put Gulf War veterans for veterans. We were first. We're the first ones to click into chat. So you know, chat.
All right.
Throw your name up there. Well, I can type something back maybe.
There you go.
Um,
Well,
or I might put it off.
when you go back to procrastination, is it really something that you are procrastinated, or was there something that delayed you from doing it? What would have been a something that would have delayed you that you really are going to say it's not procrastination? I still need more of what?
Initiative.
You want to take that initiative? Yeah, you take
We're
the
gonna take.
initiative.
uh,
Sometimes we lack initiative to get started.
well, the other one that you look at is would be funds. Say it's something. Well, I need to. I've got this project that I want to do, that I want to build, but
You know,
having funds available, you have to wait. And then the sad thing is with some of that, when it happens, it becomes okay. Now the funds have become available, but you have to pay for something else. So those funds, where do you put the funds? Where do you spend that extra
right,
money?
when they come up, I'm going to put my Marine Corps, my jarhead hat on, and I'm going to say, I I talked about this starting this channel a long time ago and never got any opportunity, but I was always watching other channels, and the other channels always used to say, you don't need equipment, you don't need the funds, all you need is an iPhone. That's what they used to tell me. All you need is an iPhone. And I said, oh, okay, well, all I need is an iPhone. So got into the iPhone, started looking at it, and there really wasn't much I can do. So my procrastination was no longer a procrastination. It was more of a delay because I did have an iPhone, but I didn't have the funds or other equipment that I needed to really get started. Because even after we got started with this, there's a lot of things that you still need to do. So
That is
yeah,
true,
so
and
procrastination could turn out something to where it's like you really weren't procrastinating. You really were on target. You just needed for things to happen
right.
before you stepped in there, and there's something good.
And so now part of your delay is he's waiting for me
I gotta wait on Charles. I depend on
to,
Charles to
to,
put the
to
camera
do
on,
to do some of these tech
uh,
things
and I
because
appreciate that very
I,
much.
I I have become the tech guru and
Yeah,
I'm not that technically savvy,
yeah, okay. Well,
but it's
I was from back in the days, MS DOS days, you got mail type of
yeah.
stuff. So needless to say, I've learned a lot about
Mhm.
technology. I had no choice because now it's even getting even worse because now you gotta AI everything or do Chat GTP or whatever to get yourself going here. But strategically strategically driven is something to where you want to make sure that if it's a cause, you want to
Mhm.
make sure you have everything done. I mean, you want
Right.
to make sure you want to get more information about things. You
Mhm.
want to do it on the appropriate time. You want to really. Your delay basically is that you're waiting for something to happen, and this is kind of like a negative thing, but I'll say it anyway because out here we say negative stuff as well. It's almost like a career student that goes to school and needs to have every single subject before they can get a good job. And then they have to go to school to get another subject and stay in the school again. And it's all about school, but it's never about stepping in and doing the practical work. Because you can only go to school for so long, but until you start putting that to work, you're never going to see anything. It's just going to be school, school, school. Well, I haven't done this and I haven't done that. I still need to. You're kind of like building blocks in school, but not moving out and getting yourself a good job of what you've already learned. You just feel you need more information, a lack of information and stuff. And that's kind of a form of procrastination because you procrastinate from stepping out of the box and moving forward. We all have to step out of the box because we don't know what we have in store for us. My wife had a sign, and I wish I would have remember. I wish I could have found it this morning on the kitchen refrigerator for the longest amount of time that said something to that effect. Something to where, you can only do so much, but until you move forward, you'll get nowhere. And
Hmm.
I'm like, well, that's true, and that kind of reflects back on procrast. Well, I need this and I need that. I still more need more of this and need more of that. So your mindset basically has to be to the point to where you have to be proactive on a lot of things.
Right. I mean, a
Yeah,
lot of that, especially you look at people who are career students, or that's a fear base, you know,
yeah,
because you're comfortable being in school, and so because when you go to school, start out kindergarten, and then get into your elementary and stuff all the way up to high school, and then go from high school into college, and that's a normal thing that you're used
yeah.
to.
That's a
And
start.
so
Yeah,
to get out in the workaday world,
yeah.
it becomes a fear thing. Oh well, I need to make sure I have this,
Right, right. You
and
want to
and
build.
it's and we look at it, and we can look at it from the military perspective, because you spend, whether it's 1 year, 5 years, or like you guys
Right.
who have retired in the military, you spend all that time in the military, and then you get out into the civilian world, and it's now I have to figure out new stuff, and so let me put that off, um, you know, because I've got to figure out this, and I wouldn't like I don't want to say that as military people, that it's a fear based, but it's uh, more like,
A new challenge.
yep. Uh, it's a new challenge, but we're used to, we have set ways that we do things.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so now we're going 10 years of it's this way, 10 years of these rules and these regulations, or 20 years, or whatever, how many ever years of,
yeah. At
and,
some
and,
point in time, you gotta get out, and you gotta, like we got out.
mm-hmm,
Charles and I got out. We still struggle. It hasn't been a, I mean, we still have a lot of, things that we do and don't do right or whatever. But it doesn't matter. What matters is that we got something started. It may be a year or two before things really start happening.
mm-hmm,
And it's okay, because that's the way it is. You've got to get out there. I'm sure you've heard of many, many, many stories of people who started in garages and attics and all that, and what, 20, 30 years later, they're million. We're never going to become billionaires and millionaires. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, we're going to make progress in knowing that we have self satisfaction, that we moved on from the everyday going to school and everyday YouTubing, everyday figuring out what we need or don't need, and threw it all in a bucket and just went for it.
yep,
And here we are. And the bucket might be a little, shaky right now, but I'm hopeful that it's going to get better. It's going to get much better and stuff. And sometimes when when you hear people talk about procrastination, it's almost perceived as being lazy. You're a lazy guy. You didn't do it today, or you didn't do it yesterday. You're doing. It's not true. I mean, it's not true. It's almost getting your finger pointed at and saying, "Well, you don't do this because you procrastinate. You don't." Well, we need to go back and reevaluate procrastination and delay of procrastinating really means, because there's a lot of other factors in mind.
right.
We're not. It's not laziness. It's just trying to kind of
Well,
move
it's just like
along.
with if you're fearful of what's next, it's really hard to turn around and go, well, this is what I'm going to dive into, you know. And so you put that off, or like Mike was talking about, and you've talked about family. I, Family's more important. I,
Yeah.
if you're the breadwinner, you're the provider, and you look at it from that perspective of, okay, well, there's other things, and my education, or my wants, my needs, well, this little project that I had, yeah, I want to do this, but what's more important? Your family. And so, like you were talking about, it's not being lazy.
Yeah,
It's
it's not being lazy.
perspective and priorities. And so you've got to look at perspective and priorities as to why you're procrastinating.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it creates a sense of negative emotions and
Hmm.
stuff to people, and I don't think we all, none of us need to have any kind of that because we just want to get out of there. We go into unfamiliar places and we're kind of thinking maybe I shouldn't go there, maybe I should, but who's there to stop you? Nobody really is there to stop you. I mean, we all make mistakes, and if we didn't make mistakes, then we're not learning.
But
You know,
sometimes you have to step back, and when you step back, it's not a negative thing. It's time to refocus
Yep.
and
there you go.
get a new game plan.
Yeah, I'm trying to focus. It's like today's thinking is tomorrow's illusion. You're thinking that tomorrow everything's going to be okay and you'll be able to move forward with things. And it's not necessarily it's not necessarily like that all the time because if you in your mind you're thinking, well, tomorrow's going to be a better day, we're not promised tomorrow. We're not.
Nope.
No, we never promised tomorrow. So I think what procrastinate, in my opinion, if you look at it in a way to where you really just need to get things done,
Hmm.
bottom line, cat's out of the bag. Something needs to be done. You're not going to get 100% of everything you need to get done in one day, but every little thing that you can get done becomes an accomplishment, becomes a better feel for you or for us, and for me, especially when now that I started doing this right here, I think that every time I look forward to this now. I look forward to getting this done. I look forward to moving, and I really don't. It doesn't really matter how it turns out. It's going to be the way it's going to be because we don't have any way of changing it once it happens. Of course, we don't want to think about what everybody says because we all have opinions on things. You know what I say about that? I won't get in there, but you know what I mean. So it's one of these things to where we just want to do that. But for our veterans, for your moms and for your dads, your brothers and your sisters, and you know, we consult with and talk to. We're not a consulting firm. Don't get me wrong. I'm not. I'm just saying this one thing about change, about changing. In my opinion, me against the world again here. Change is perceived as a loss. That sometimes we don't want to change something because we don't want to lose something. And when I was going to school, I was learning about behavioral modification, behavioral science, and all that. My instructor told us this. This didn't come from me. It came from my instructor. She says, and she used an example of smoking, for example. She said, if somebody wants to quit smoking, they don't want to change that, because it's going to be perceived as a loss for them. And that's what life happens a lot of times. We don't want to change things in life because we don't want to lose things that we already have. And sometimes doing that move, that little move on change and saying, you know what, I got to do it. You know, if you talk to somebody, if you talk to your veteran family, and you ask them simple questions, have you done this and have you done that, or how can I help you? Because we've already told you before, you can reach out to us for pretty much anything. And I'll tell you right off the bat, we don't have 100% of your answers here. We don't. But we have a lot of connections with a lot of people, a lot of services, a lot of places that we can refer you to that can give you the direction. If we can help facilitate that, that's what we want to do.
Right.
And that's what we're here for. And we want to make sure that you understand that because, you know, sometimes if you don't ask, no one will ever know. If you don't ask somebody about something, I've recently worked with a family that are, unfortunately, we all pass eventually, and a surviving spouse's husband passed, and she was looking for some direction, and we gave her direction.
Hmm.
And even though her husband passed, she was still able to do things that may have been a benefit to her husband after he's gone, a benefit to her as well too, because a lot of people don't realize that when us veterans are gone, we leave a family behind, and that family needs to know that there's things out there for them. There's things that they can inquire about. There's benefits out there. There's things that, unless you ask, you'll never know. And I always tell people, the very first thing as a veteran that you want to do, if you don't do anything else, if you know that you have a service connection, I've had a service connection, it doesn't matter whether you served in the Korea War, Vietnam era, Gulf War era, World War II, which there's not very many World War II veterans left, but it does not matter what service or branch that you've been in the past. If there's a connection to service with any injuries or proposed injuries or presumed injuries that you have, there could be a benefit up the road.
Right. Well, see, but that's the thing, like you're talking about. Mine is I look at it this way. And I don't care if you have, or think you have, or think you might have an injury or something going on. Get connected. Get connected
Yeah.
with the VA system because that the government said you sign on the dotted line, and when you get out, we're going to
We
take
can take
care
care of
of
you.
you. But we turn around and go, well, that's for somebody else.
Yeah.
That's for this
Somebody
veteran.
else needs it
Yes,
more than
yeah,
me.
somebody needs it more than, and we've talked about it in our Gulf War era veterans when we've had our meetings. It's what 30 billion. It's probably
About
higher than
30,
that.
about 35,
Thir-
$35 billion
$35 billion
annual budget.
that is designated
That's probably
for,
low too, though.
yeah,
So it might
that
be more.
and that was when we originally threw that number out there was several years ago. So it's probably more than that.
Yeah.
That is designated for veterans.
Yeah.
That's what the VA system is. That is your health, your family, the military veteran family. That is,
That's for
and
everyone.
so you need to sign, get on the VA.gov portal. Um, just put your paperwork in. Don't procrastinate that. Jesse has actually talked about that when he got out, that it took him a while before he did that. Mine is because I ended up with being on medical hold, they automatically put me in the system. Now, when I moved from Northern California out here, because the company I worked for at the time had health insurance, I didn't think about the whole VA thing.
Mm.
And then,
Saved you a lot of money there. Could have.
yep, and so I had medical issues that came from being in service. And it's like, well, I was getting seen at the VA for this. Let me get reconnected. And then it's okay, now I've got to get paperwork and sign this and do this. But finally, and guess what? The 20, 30, $40 that I was spending on
Insurance.
pills, well, no, just on medicine. VA covers all that.
Yeah.
So
An
that was
instant.
20, $30 that I didn't have to pay for pills that, for an
And
issue
yeah.
that is military connected. And I procrastinated that when I came over because it's like, well, I've already got health
Yeah.
insurance. Yeah, but this is something that I was already connected with.
So you got to find that avenue. You got to find that approach. You got to be able to kind of ask today. Like it says, procrastination is tomorrow's illusion. That's what it's. That's what it kind of almost a lot of terms involve in that. But we don't. We're not promised tomorrow. And that's the thing that we have to look at is that today we want to make sure that we do not say that we're procrastinators because of the way the term procrastination is used. It's not a bad thing, but we do have things that we need to take care of.
Mm-hmm.
We do need little tasks every now and again that I can guarantee you that if you do one little task a day, before you know it, even if you've had it, in the makings for the past months in a row, it's been in the back of your mind. I got to do this. I got to do this. I got to do this. Even if it's filing or shredding or something simple, can be termed as procrastination because you haven't done it yet. If you can do a little bit at a time, I can guarantee you're going to feel a lot better because that's what happens once you take that step. And that's just not in procrastination. That's on anything we do. We do something today and tomorrow it's taken care of. We got to pay a bill and find out why they charge you. Don't wait a month or 2 months before they charge you again because you lost more money. Don't wait years down the road to do an intent to file because when you
Yep.
do an intent to file, you've got a whole year to come up with your evidence, your determination of that you do have evidence saying that you have a service connection.
Right.
And then even if it takes them 11 months to make that decision, guess what? they're going to reimburse you back for those 11 months. So you didn't really lose out on anything. You just took enough time to be able to get everything together. So you're not delaying at that point. You're gathering information. Everything we do anyway, and think about it. When you buy a car, you need to provide all your financials, everything that you do. When you buy a house, same way. When you apply for a credit card, you've got to supply all your financials, everything that you do. And then when you file a claim, you got to provide your evidence. So in essence, what you're doing is you're doing the same thing, but it's in a different category. It's not a loan. Not even a loan, because once you get a determination, it's a payment for you every year, moving every month actually.
Mm-hmm.
So everything we do, we have to do it anyway. So don't put it off. Do it as quick as you can. We're not perfect in life, and we're never gonna get everything together in one bundle.
Nope.
Uh,
Plus the other thing looking at it is now you're in the system.
yeah, get in the system.
Mm-hmm.
Take that
and
step to move
and
forward.
that's what you need to do. It was designed for you as a military veteran.
Yeah.
And if you're not doing it for you, do it for your family.
I know my wife always asks me, and I'll tell you this because I think a lot of wives don't do that, don't do this. But if you're a wife, or even a husband or a wife or whatever, vice versa, she always asks me, I want to make sure that if something happens to you, to me, that I know what I'm going to have to do. So you've got to let your family members know what is going to be in store for them if you happen to go. And I say this is because I'm not trying to be negative about death, but it's a reality. It happens to us,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't know when. But I'm just saying we have to be prepared, and the better we are prepared, the better we're going to be. I'm thinking a lot of things right now in my head that I know now that I'm going to have to go take care of because they just popped in all of a sudden. I'm like, oh my God, here I am talking about it, and I've been practicing it, so I need to get it together here. But we challenge you all to the challenge for you for today is maybe go out there and start taking care of the little bitty stuff, a little bit at a time. And don't get overwhelmed if you have a lot of stuff. Like I'm thinking right now, I got a lot of stuff, but don't get overwhelmed. But just do it at your own pace, and I guarantee you're going to feel a lot better for it.
And mine is my challenge to you is go to the va.gov,
Yeah,
and whether you have something or so, if you've seen some of like the PACT Act stuff, these are things. Well, I have a heart condition. I have high blood pressure. That's on there.
yeah,
These are things that you think, oh well, yeah, but that could because I'm older now, and so now I have. Yeah, are you sure? Are you guaranteed that your high blood pressure came from just the fact that you're older or maybe have a little extra weight on?
yeah.
Or is it from something that happened to you
Right.
while you were in country or in the military? Get on the va.gov portal,
There you
get your
go.
name in the system.
You got any final thoughts, Mike?
Yes, get familiar with the VA website for benefits. Take the initiative and learn much as you can because everything changes.
Yeah, everything changes. Yeah, but check it out. No pun intended. Don't procrastinate it.
Yep.
What
And
do you say?
remember, don't procrastinate, like, subscribe, and share.
There you go. There
Don't
you
put that
go.
off.
All right.
We want to see your names pop up on there. I got the chat thing working this time, so we threw in there Gulf War veterans. We were first on. Nobody else chimed in, but don't procrastinate next time.
All right. You guys have a great week.
All right.
God bless.